So this problem set uses the data from the Gallup poll shown in the table. So let's go over the answers. If a person is selected randomly from this group, find the probability that the person is a Republican. So what we're going to do is take the entire sample size. If you add together all of these numbers in the table, we know that the sample size is 1,028. So the number of Republicans, if you add together the Republicans, that would be 142 plus 136. If you combine those, you get 278. So that would be 278 out of 1,028. And then you would go ahead and convert this into a percentage. So let's do that together. That would be 278 divided by 1,028. And that would give us 26.8%. Find the probability that the person is a Democrat who favors legalization. So now what we're going to do is we're going to find the Democrats in the table who favored legalization. So that would be these people here. These people here are Democrats who favor legalization. That would be 222 out of 1,028. And that would be 222 divided by 1,028 would be 21.6%. Next is find the probability the person is a Democrat or someone who favors legalization. So let's find those people in the table. Here are the Democrats, and here are the people who favor legalization. So what we want to do is we want to add together these four numbers, 142 plus 222 plus 296 plus 86. So all those people, those four groups, are either a Democrat or they favor legalization, or it could be both. So 142 plus 222 plus 296 plus 86, that gives us a total of 746 people out of the entire group. So 746 divided by 1,028, let me try that again. 746 divided by 1,028 gives us 72.3%. Find the probability that the person is a Democrat given that they favor legalization. So this is the first time that we're seeing the phrase given that in this problem. And whenever we see the word given that, what that tells us is that we're only going to look at this group and we're going to ignore everybody else. So we're going to only look at the group that favors legalization and we're going to ignore those that don't. Now the total of people who favor legalization, if you add up 142 plus 222 plus 296, the total that favor legalization is 660. And we want to know the probability that that person is a Democrat. So of those, 222 favor legalization. So if we make that fraction into a percentage, we get 33.6%. Next, the person is a Democrat or a Republican. So here we don't have the words given that, so that means, again, we're looking at the entire group. So the entire group is 1,028. And now I have to add up the Democrats and Republicans. So here are the Republicans and Democrats. These four numbers represent all of the Democrats and all of the Republicans. So if we add those four numbers together, we're going to get 586. So 586 people out of the 1,028 are either a Democrat or a Republican, and that would be 57%. Which is more likely, picking an independent who favors legalization or picking a Democrat who favors legalization? Well, we already did in number 4 the probability that someone's a Democrat and favors legalization. That's the probability that they favor legalization given that they're a Democrat. So what we want to do is we want to figure out the probability of picking an independent who favors legalization. So we didn't actually do that in number 4. I take it back. So we want the probability that someone is a Democrat and favors legalization. All right, so the Democrats and favors legalization, that's 222 out of all the people in the sample having an equally likely opportunity to be selected. So that's 222 divided by 1,028. That would be 21.6%. And, so I knew we had done that before. We had done it in number 2. We haven't done the probability that they're an independent and favors legalization. So let's find that group. So the number of independents, or the people that are independents and who favor legalization, would be these people here. That would be 296 out of 1,028. And so we can tell already that that's going to be a larger percentage than for the Democrats, because there were more of those people in the sample. And how much more? It would be 28.8%. All right, last problem. Which political party is most likely to favor legalization? Support your answer with appropriate statistics. So here we have 3 different parties, but you notice that the number in each party, or the number of each party in the sample is not equal. There were, and let's go ahead and write these in. If we were to add these up, there were 278 Republicans, there were 308 Democrats, and there were 442 independents. And so to answer this last question, what we would want to compute is the percentage of each party who said yes. So let's do that for the Democrats. For the Democrats, 222 out of 308. 222 out of 308. For the Republicans, it would be 142 out of 278. 142 out of 278. And for the independents, it would be 296 out of 442. 296 out of 442. So what we'll do is we'll compute these percentages and compare them. So for the Democrats, 222 out of 308 favored it. In other words, 72.1% of the Democrats surveyed favored legalization. Of the Republicans, this would be only 51.1%. And of the independents, we have 67%. So of the 3 political parties, it would look like the Democrats would be most likely to favor legalization because a greater percentage of the Democrats surveyed said yes.